Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm building a writing desk for one of my clients. The top is gonna be made out of nutty alder, while the casework is made out of plywood with edge banding. And then so far what you've seen me do is I started to cut my boards to rough length in my matter station. Then after checking my Instagram stories, follow me at Araya Woodworks, I decided to go to the joiner and get one flat face and one square edge to that face. Something that is very important to notice here is that I took my joiner's guard out because the boards were right at a little bit over 5.5, which is my joiner's capacity. So if you're going to do this, you gotta be careful and always be aware of where your hands are and where the blade is, because there's no guard to protect you. So if you're gonna do this, make sure that you're careful and only do it if you feel comfortable. After that, I moved to my planer and I got all the boards to the same thickness. Then I started to glue my top. I decided to do it in 3 different sections just because it's less stressful. One of the tips that I've learned after doing some glue ups is that when you clamp 2 boards together, they don't need a lot of clamping pressure. As long as the joint is close and as long as there's some squeeze out, you do not need to put a lot of clamping pressure. When the top was dried, I got my track saw and I cut one side square to the edge, and then I moved to the next side and cut it to final length. One of the things that happens with nutty alder is it has a lot of nuts, so I use some epoxy and some black tint to fill those voids. And then I started on the casework, ripping my plywood to the first dimension and then taking it to my table saw to get more accurate cuts. Here I'm just ripping everything to the actual sizes for the casework and then starting to do edge banding. I don't know if you've ever done edge banding, but it's extremely easy when you have your little iron, I-R-O-N. You put a lot of pressure with heat, and the glue that is heat sensitive will adhere to the edges of the board and it will make your plywood look great. Something important here is to be patient, not to rush the process. Apply the heat even and slowly, the pressure as well, and add some sanding to make sure that you round the edges. My method of assembling the casework together will be pocket screws. I think this is a perfectly fine method to attach the casework together. It's nice and strong. Put in pocket screws everywhere that I need them, and this will make sense in just a second. You can see them right there. This is just a rough layout of the actual desk. That middle divider will be a little higher so the chair can actually pull in or be pushed in. Then I started to assemble the case. I decided to do in 3 different sections just to make it easier and less stressful. Once again, I added some glue and then some brad nails to keep everything in place, while I secured it with clamps and used the pocket screws in the pocket holes to get everything permanently secure. Right here you can slightly see how the edge banding makes the plywood looks like a solid piece of wood. I love this method of construction. Maybe I lied, it was maybe two different sections. We have, actually no, I didn't lie, I just didn't record it. But we see the three sections right here. We got two sides, the middle divider, and then the back side, if you will. Right here what I did is I pre-placed all the clamps before I added the glue, and then once I added the glue, I pressed record and it started to run around to make sure that everything was securely clamped. Then I started to sand the top. All that epoxy, it took a long time, but we got it done. And then I went ahead and I started to work on drawers, the construction of the drawers construction. I will upload a video in the future of how I like to construct my drawers, but there's hundreds of videos to show different ways to construct drawers. In this case, once again, I use pocket holes with a rabbet dado at the bottom of the drawers to accept the panel. Then after I had all my drawers constructed, I picked the boards that I will use for my drawer fronts. I went back to my joiner and started to mill everything to the same thickness, same width, and same dimensions. Once again, I took the guard off the joiner, so be careful if you do this. And then I went to my planer, got everything to the same thickness. Now, one of the things you will notice from this part of the video is that I went ahead and I jumped a little bit into the future because I was running out of time already, and so I started to focus more on the build and less on the recording. But there's still a few cool, interesting clips that I hope will teach you something and you can kind of gather some information. Right here, I'm working on a file cabinet drawer, or file drawer cabinet, file drawer. It's pretty neat. I used 2 bars of aluminum, and this is how it works. Jump into the future. I had all the drawers fit into place, and I went ahead and I started to add the stain. I use dark walnut stain to keep everything looking consistent after adding my maker's mark. I personally like how the plywood and the knotty alder blend together with this stain. It looks pretty neat in my opinion. Then I started to work on the metal base construction for this piece. I believe I'm using 1.5 square tubing to get these legs or the base made. Now, one of the things that I forgot is I forgot to wear my safety glasses. So don't do what I do what I say. Wear your safety glasses. And then I added adjustable feet to this project. I like to add adjustable feet to any project when possible, just because it allows for if the floor where the piece is going is not completely flat, or if there's any slight discrepancies in the build, you can always adjust with the feet. Then I took all my metal pieces to the vise and I added a chamfer with my angle grinder to accept the welds kind of clean all the corners, and like I said, give it that chamfer for the welds. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I'm definitely not a professional welder, but I love to get better as I go, and I basically threw a quick jig with some plywood. Definitely not a permanent jig, but it will do the trick for this project. I tacked everything into place, and then later on added full welds after grinding to make sure that it was strong as it can be. Then if you see those extra hands, my dad was in town while I was doing this part of the build, so he helped me with the base. He cleaned the base and gave it a few coats of black spray paint. While he was doing that, I was inside of my shop spraying some of the lacquer for the wood pieces. I believe I did 4 to 5 coats of lacquer with sanding in between, and after everything was dry and ready, I started to assemble all of the pieces together. As I said before, there's a few parts of this build that I skipped just because of time constraints, but I hope you get a full picture of what the build kind of looks like, and I hope you learned something by watching this. Once again, thank you guys for following along in the videos. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below. Leave a like and all that good stuff. I had a lot of fun building this, and I know the clients were really happy with the product. So thank you guys for watching the video. And with that said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.